Wide World of Motorsports podcast. I am your host, James Jordan, and sitting here virtually with me is Michael Wallace. We're here for another episode 11 of the fifth season of the WOMs. Fifth season, eh? And we're here sitting, recording yet another episode, pretending to talk like we know what we talk about. We got it all here on the WOMs, folks. We got it all for you for the next hour right here on 102.7 CKMS 3 to Waterloo. We're also on CFMH 107.3 local FM. Now, brand new. Welcome. This is big news. We're with them in St. John, New Brunswick, Canada, which is really big. It's absolutely huge, fantastic, and also not only that. In addition to that, we're on the Performance Motorsports Network with the Scorpion Radio Group, and you can check them out on the app, any app store, and you can also check it out on performancemotorsportsnetwork.com. Where on there's a couple streams there, and on the front page, PMN1 and PMN2 will be somewhere on one of the two of those channels as well coming up. So, hey, big shout out to the folks at PMN and CFMH 107.3 local FM for bringing us on board. Wallace and I are absolutely thrilled to be expanding our show. We are pumped. We're diggity pumped, I tell you what.
Yeah, it's exciting news. That's great, especially with the beginning of a fantastic new Pinty series coming up for 2022. It's great to stretch out across Canada, just like they will be this summer.
Out east with NASCAR Pinty series going out east. I was saying that to you there before we rolled the tapes here. I was like, that's pretty convenient. Maybe someone listening in St. John will want to head on up to Newfoundland to watch a NASCAR Pinty's race just within the next couple of months here, actually. That season start. We'll be getting to that, of course, and more later. A couple of things there. The new team also in the Pinty series, as well as some news with Larry Jackson as well, on top of some of our we're going to dive a little bit into Sunset Speedway, the race 1 for the NASCAR Pinty series. We'll dive a little bit into that as much as we can here, which will be happening on May 14th 2022, so that'll be this weekend on the day that we're recording. That's great. And obviously this past weekend, it's really cool. There was a lot of speculation. Everyone looking forward to the F1 race. Beautiful track, the Miami Autodrome, beautiful facility that was put together. And I thought it was a spectacular race. We'll be getting to that, and of course all the throwback liveries this weekend was great. We'll get to that too.
We'll talk about that. Yeah, for sure.
We'll pick our favorites. But y'all might be listening to us on www. the Wide World of Motorsports podcast.wordpress.com. Through there, you could access us on all the major and main streaming services like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Anchor.fm. And you can also follow us on social media. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter now. We're on Instagram. We got Wallace over here on the Insta.
Trying. I tried to post yesterday at the trailer. I was sitting by the campfire, and I was had the Xfinity race on, and I was posting that to Instagram.
Nice.
But it seemed that's
a nice way to watch a race.
Gods. Yeah, it was actually. I still sat there by the fire and listened to the race, but the service gods, for some reason, would allow me to listen to the race, but not allow me to upload.
Yeah, I'll
Take
take that.
listening.
Yeah, because
I'll take
you can
listening.
use your imagination. It'd be hard. I'd rather that than watching, because sometimes without audio, it's like, what happened?
Yeah.
It's like today. Same
exactly.
quick example. We'll go to this a little later. Quick example was like with today when Kyle Busch had his little mishap. I was like, what?
Yeah, that's
Because I
right.
had the F1 race up and I didn't have the audio up for the NASCAR Pinty's race, or sorry, for the NASCAR Cup race. So I was like,
Right.
what's going on? Like, what?
Yeah.
Why is he taking off? Like, I asked you, it's like, why is he taking
Yeah.
off? Like, what happened? But yeah, it's like I'd much rather hear the audio. But that's pretty good way to enjoy a race beside the fire.
It was very nice. Like I said, unfortunately, I didn't get to. Maybe I'll just share the pic later on of the fire. But
Throw that up on the Insta.
Yeah. But anyways.
Yeah, we try to get ourselves as much out there too on the iRacing stuff with our Wide World of Motorsports esports team, which we're obviously always accepting. We want people to race with us, and we're always looking to join other leagues and race with people. So you can reach us there too on our YouTube page at the Wide World of Motorsports, where lots of our streams are posted, including my Daytona 500 win. And obviously other episodes.
We
of
definitely
the Wide World
need to
Motorsports
start
podcast.
Introducing you as
the
2022 iRacing Daytona 500 champion.
Yeah. 40
Why
split.
that should be listed in your bio from now on any social media. When we apply for media credentials, and they
I was
ask
also
for
iRacing champion, Daytona 500 champion.
Hey, that's experience. You know what? Look at they always have drivers in the booth because they want experience. And as a
It's true.
iRacing 2022
I could be a
Daytona
driver
500
announcer.
champ, what more experience could they have?
Be driver announcer, that'd be great. But yeah, so we're always looking for stuff there, so you can check out our esports stuff. All of this stuff is obviously on our website, but it's most of it's also on our Facebook as well. So it says check out the Facebook, which is always an easy. It's a
good way to get a hold of us.
It's a good way to get a hold of us. Also at our email at the Wide World of Motorsports at gmail.com. That you can also get it to us through there if you want to. Sorry, it's just Wide World of Motorsports at gmail.com. No the in front of it. Love to sponsor with us or vice versa or whatever. Reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you, and hey, you know what? Drop us a line also. Let us know what you like. Let us know what you don't like on the show or whatever. If you want us to talk about a series. There's probably maybe we shouldn't reach out for that one. No, but yeah, let us know what series you want us to talk about, a series, and give us our fan side of things, as well as what we know from the quote unquote insider side of things. We'll try to give you as best as we can on that.
At least the right up next twos, right? We might not all get the ins, but we'll get the right up next twos.
It's like we're gonna try. We're gonna try.
We'll try.
We'll give it a good old college try. But yeah, so yeah, we welcome everyone from around the world, and obviously in the region of Waterloo, St. John, and obviously our listeners on the PMN network, welcoming to our episode here. We got on the show today, we're going to talk about some of the F1 at Miami action, followed by
Welcome to Miami.
some Miami Vice style.
That's it. That's all I know.
Is that Will Smith song?
I think so.
Maybe.
That's all I know, though. That's as far as my pop culture reference for this, other than Miami Vice, but I don't know how to do a reference.
There's a bit of a Miami, yeah, I know, right?
I mean, I could make a boat noise, but the funny thing is that it wasn't even near any water. There was no water near.
So I was mistaken. So I thought the track was a bit closer to the downtown area, but then it ended up and ended up being not the case. We'll get into that here. So then following that, we'll have NASCAR at Darlington, and as well as
Lady in Black.
Some of our we're going to be trying to dive as much as we can into NASCAR Pinty series this season. That's kind of always been our staple, so we're gonna definitely be good to be back at the track for that. We'll be getting into that. Lots of big news and developments and in the series as well. So we got that on the way right here on the Wide World of Motorsports podcast. So let's get into it, Wallace. Let's get into the Formula. Now this was rough.
Formula.
The beginning of it was rough. Now. Iconic F1 commentator Martin Brundle, who I look up to now, I look at this guy and go, if this guy is so we've talked about what it's like, even just in the Pinty's paddock or the Camping World or any paddock really that we've been able to get access to, and sometimes we talk about it's not easy always, and it's these guys are busy, and you got to track some of these drivers down. And not only that, some people you don't really know who some people are sometimes, and sometimes people really don't know who you are. So in this instant,
if you're not from that world.
Well, that too. And Martin Brundle has been through so much of that lately, and throughout the years, he's been in tons of situations where he's tried to get up to celebs or he's tried to talk to drivers or whatever, and maybe they're busy or he gets a cold shoulder or whatever. But today in Miami was just cringe. It was peak is what and even from what the commentators were saying too, that was the toughest, that was the hardest to watch F1 grid walk with Martin Brundle.
I didn't see it, so tell me about it. I didn't get to see it.
He always maybe for some of our NASCAR fans, it's very similar to how obviously when Michael Waltrip goes up and down pit road, but in this, so for people out in that world, so that they understand that's so. But this is multiple times more, right? So Martin Brundle, a part of Sky One, he goes up and down the grid. He talks to celebs, famous athletes, and other participants, and also the team constructors and like all sorts of stuff, principals, all sorts of stuff. So today though, it was like he was like he said in British humor is one thing to understand, because this guy is he's just sarcastically just ripping everything going up and down pit road. It's like, well, they must have let the gates open for this one, because it was and I was thinking, for me being the noob that I am in the races that I've covered, if I was on that grid walk, I would had to have, and that's what I often actually do anyway. From what I deal with is I like to be off to the side, because it was a melee in Miami. It was the biggest, all sorts of celebrities. They were walking up, and I was recognizing people. I was like, isn't that? It's like, wow. There's a couple instances though where he mixed up. So he called Venus Williams her sister's name Serena, that was hard for her. And I think he interviewed her sister, and he mixed them up. He tried to interview her sister a year or two ago, and that didn't go very well. He did it again, but it was with her sister. So there was that, and it was a pretty long. She didn't want anything to do with the interview.
No doubt.
He also mistook a college basketball player, United States, a star of. His name is Paolo Banchero. He thought it was Patrick Mahomes, the Kansas City Chiefs NFL quarterback. He thought. Now,
do they look alike?
They kind of, honestly, just saying. I may have, but I may have done the same thing that he did. I may have talked to them, and I'm like, this ain't Patrick Mahomes. And I think I would have done the same thing. Is at a glance, is because like I said, you're going up down the grid, and it's like you almost recognize everybody. It was crazy, and it was and he went up to an Italian business investor, and he didn't know who the guy was, and he told him, I don't know who you are. Who are you? And this guy is he's like a multi-hundred millionaire. Like he's, and then he tries to go up to David Beckham, and that he had to chase him down for an interview. So that was the beginning of the race. That was tough. It was tough to watch.
My goodness.
But it was no doubt the talk. It's been a talk for a while. It was talk that it was going to be a huge event, and after watching that, it was a proof that it was. And they were showing all sorts of celebrities. Michael Jordan was there. Jeff Gordon was there. It's like
Reference
to that in the cup race. Yeah,
in the cup race, that Jeff's too big to be at the cup race. He's hanging down there,
which is understandable. Danica doing the commentating.
No, but it's funny though. It's funny though because
Willie T. Ribs was there.
Fly back, but Jeff did fly back because
and he was there at pit road
they
to
show
Sports
Jeff
Driver
with Willie B. Anyway, so we're talking Formula One. Yeah.
Which we'll get to.
This race was the funny thing about this race is it's been talked about for a really long time. This isn't like, I think maybe to somebody who's not been following F1 a lot, or to somebody who's recently gotten to F1 because of maybe Drive to Survive, and they see
which has
F1's
been renewed 2 more
Miami,
seasons,
which is fine. That this is cool. They decided to come to Miami. They've been talking about this for I feel like pre-COVID.
Yeah,
and it
was supposed to be somewhere else too, right?
It was, yeah. I mean, they've probably been
it.
talking about this 5 years.
At
so
least.
it's
they've wanted a race in Miami for a long time.
Yeah, and what's actually kind of really shocked me is every time they talked about it, it seemed like it was so far away.
It was supposed to be on a bridge at one point.
Then, yes. And then all of a sudden it was like for F1 in Miami, and it just all of a sudden it happened. Like I can't believe they finished it.
Right by the Hard Rock Stadium there.
Well, I think
Miami.
I think he's the main promoter, or he's the one supporting the race
and changed the parking lot into a racetrack. But so after going through that grid walk, like you see at least quarter of the world's. I'm not kidding, especially with the price of merchandise and tickets. You had to afford to have been there. Sorry to say, for some people.
Well, they were saying I heard somewhere that standing room only was like $900. Wow!
Just imagine, as what I say, the quarter of the world's wealth had to be there. At least I'm not kidding. Like there was probably a good amount of Forbes 500 people, or if not, maybe like all of them there. But like it was bigger than, because you see, even the guy from Austin was kind of giving it like, he was like, wow, this is great for it. This is great for the sport. Like, this is more of this, the better. It's the 77th different track F1 has ran on. And with track surface issues, it was a huge deal going into the event. There was even part of the surface coming up in certain turns throughout some of the practices. There's a couple hard hits too in the practice.
That's a Motorsport issue.
So it's due to a different mixture in the pavement, and there's a lot of science behind that. And this was, the race was anticipated to come down to survival.
So did the race live up? Do you think the race lived up to the hype, the build-up?
Yeah, yes, and it did because. And so there was a couple reasons, because obviously it ended pretty good. And it may have been what people expected. It may have been what people wanted. It wasn't a caution. It wasn't like a bad race what they thought, because a lot of people anticipated it would come down to survival, and it kind of did, but it came down to a lot of strategy eventually with what kind of tires that they were going to be using. And just finishing the race was going to end up being a simple strategy for a lot of the drivers. And figuring out, some of them started on hard tires, some of them started on medium tires. And eventually we saw that it was, people were switching to medium tires during their pit stops. They're going off of different strategy. They didn't want to just go off of one more stop with hard tires. But there's a few reasons why, obviously, because of the heat, as you had mentioned there, and then more left-handers than right-handers, as it's an anti-clockwise track. So there's going to be some more focus on, what side or what tire that they're going to be using more or wearing down more. And like a lot of people came in for the mediums, and eventually throughout the race. But overall, with Max Verstappen off to a great start, he chased down Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc for not even 10 laps in. He was up there, and the Bulls and Ferraris top contenders kind of already, which was no surprise there. And after about 15 laps, the track was already starting to get greasy, or as Danica Patrick said before the race, slippy slidey. With the drivers eventually, as I said, opting to the mediums.
What I saw right at the beginning of this race, and you and I I actually brought it up to you because I was watching some highlights just to refresh. Well, because I didn't actually get to watch the race today, so I watched the highlights. I was very surprised at how Sainz just didn't battle Verstappen so hard off the beginning. I thought I expected more. It shocked me, and I don't know, maybe that's a good indication of how good the Red Bull is compared to the Ferrari, or maybe that is just showing that, Verstappen and Leclerc are the number ones of their teams, and Sainz.
It's starting to play out that way. It's after a few races in the season, isn't it?
Yeah. It seems that way. I mean, Sainz isn't having he's not having any luck. He's, he got taken out at the last race by Danny Rick on move. I blame Daniel for. He says he got hit. I don't think he got hit. I think he pushed it in and just didn't. I don't think he meant to hit him, but I just don't think he really cared what happened, and took him out. And he's not had great races at the beginning of the season. Leclerc has definitely been the driver of the team, being on pole. They did start 1-2. They finished 2-3. Sainz got to really help the team out here. I mean, he's doing his job. Really, I guess he's doing exactly what he needs to do. He's battling for 3-4 against Perez, right, and beating him. So
it was tough for those guys.
It would seem to be a hard race because there was contact. These guys aren't giving each other any room.
Believe it or not, the heat played a factor.
It always does, because I think not only does the heat play the factor to grip and how the cars perform, I think we see it in all forms of racing. Heat starts to affect the driver.
Florida heat is a different heat, and I've especially experiencing it and also watching various motorsports, various races over the years. You always hear that come up. So for mid-spring, it was 33 Celsius, 91 Fahrenheit, ambient temperature. So, and as we heard throughout the race, throughout the race, because there was 40% rain. Yes, yeah, and there was 40% rain, and so it was definitely a situation there where
that'd be hot, that'd be uncomfortable.
Absolutely, and they had, they obviously after the race they had to hydrate, they had to cool down, but it was a somewhat quiet race until the safety car came out. I think. So there was some things that happened throughout there that I missed, but for sure it was relatively quiet throughout to lap 42 from a wreck involving Lando and Pierre.
Yeah, I mean there was things that went on, but nothing that caused race stoppages or anything like that. Right? There was some wheel to wheels, but yeah, the virtual safety car turned actual safety car was for the Lando Pierre Gasly wreck,
which I think someone was penalized for at the end of that.
I would hope it would have been Pierre, because
I think so.
That, in my opinion, that's his fault. He went off the track because they show that he went off the track and he came back on, and and kind of it just seems that he drifted across right into Lando.
Yeah, and you know, so that may be so there was definitely contact in this race. And that
Mhm.
proved it for sure there. And fans got a little bit of taste of that. So going back to what you said earlier, did fans get what they expected or whatever it was? And I think that there's a bit of that element too there, where they got a little bit of wreck, they got a little bit of racing, you know, they got a little bit of the
There was
star
a lot.
power.
There was a
Um,
lot of excitement.
and it's fun at this point of the season too. It's interesting to see, um, you know, with as you say, the ones and twos being figured out, and seeing Red
Mhm.
Bull up there Ferrari get up there with Red Bull, and seeing how Lewis is figuring things out, seeing bottom
Mhm.
guys like Mick, and you're hearing other names come up there too.
Mhm.
You know, but yeah, so you know, Max ultimately with the restart with 10 to go, Max was able to stay up front ahead of the Ferraris, with Perez trying to make ground to his teammate in first. However, Leclerc showed Max his stuff in the final laps. At one point, even making contact, overtaking Max.
Mhm.
However, the Dutchman remained cool under the pressure from the Frenchman and figured out how
The
to get back ahead
Monegasque.
of him.
The Monegasque.
he
He's
figured
from he is. He's not French. He's from
he's
Monte
from
Carlo.
Oh,
The
I, be-
Principality
I better
of
change that up.
Montegasque. He's Montegasque or Monte. I don't know how they
I should
pronounce
change.
it, but
I stand corrected,
anyway,
folks.
I'm sorry.
No, that's good actually, because we're here for. Hey, we have fact checking abilities here at the WOMs, um, which we unlike some
Jamie
other
looked that up.
podcasts. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
that's right.
so you know, there's so Max staying up there, and with Red Bull finishing up the podium there. There was a lot of criticization from the drivers about the track and the type of racing that the Miami GP would produce, but no doubt it was a grand spectacle for F1 in the USA, as well as with the more involvement and investment that F1's putting into the US. And it was for sure a good show in the end, and looking forward to next year's. It's gonna be a good one. I think as they keep going on and figuring that out, hopefully they'll add some safer barriers here and there, and figure a couple things out. But yeah, nonetheless,
Really big race.
really big
Really big
race, really
race.
good. Quick before we end off, and as you said earlier, ridiculous. If we're talking about underwear and jewelry being an issue in F1, then that means there are actually a lot more better things to talk about. There are reasons why
Yes.
political. I think like all I'm going to say is I think there's political related reasons why we're hearing a little bit of this. Maybe I think the media wants to focus on it for whatever reason. There's a lot of other stuff happening if we can focus on. Let's get over this jewelry and underwear talk.
There's racing.
Who's
There's good
checking
racing.
someone's drawers after that race? I feel bad for them. That should be a violation against like some human rights code or something like that. What
That's
the
right.
hell is going
That's
on
right.
here? FIF1, sort it out. Damn it. Anyway, we're about halfway through our show here. Let's get to NASCAR at Darlington.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah,
weekend.
That was.
Good throwback
Yes,
weekend.
throwback
Lots of good
weekend.
throwback schemes. Really cool.
Can I
all
say
seriously
something about
great.
that? I don't understand, and maybe you know why. I don't understand why throwback isn't done for the Southern 500. Why do they do it in the spring and not?
It was
the
interesting
Southern 500?
when they changed it. There was a.
It just doesn't fit.
can't remember
because it
why
doesn't
they
seem like
did it.
everybody's bought into it. It seemed like once it moved,
They're trying.
to-
I'm into it. Where put it
I-
wherever
yeah.
personally, right? But
okay. Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
but
I just
all the
lost
schemes though. I think I was a little disappointed in
Even-
Chase's, but other than that, I was happy with all of them, and even what they were
Even the
trying to
Xfinity
do.
ones.
Yeah, and the truck. Yeah, there was all around great
And the
throwbacks,
truck, yeah.
and also with the broadcasters and fans also coming out and all in. I think they're starting to get into it because there's people like us that will just sucker into it no matter what.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we saw who got that truck win.
John Hunter.
Oh yeah, that's right.
He almost got pegged in
And
the
he
head by a
didn't. He
deer,
didn't. I don't.
apparently.
That's right. And that was bad. If they made a pretty bad thumb, and he didn't thank God either. So that was a first.
Maybe
I
that's
think for
why he
him.
almost got hit with the
I
deer.
think that was it. It was.
It was like,
He
that
was
was
getting
God going,
punished
hey,
for not thanking God.
John Hunter.
That's yeah. So he finally won a race in 2022.
That's good.
He needed to
I didn't
get
see
that
the race,
win.
and I didn't even. I feel really bad because I didn't even realize the trucks raced.
It was good, and I obviously seeing it under the lights at Darlington is always good. Going into the next day, Justin Allgaier goes from first. He goes from worst to first at Darlington Raceway. He #did it for Dale, and the number 7 Hellman's throwback for JRM.
This race I listened to, and this was a good race.
It was a good race. Going from worst to first, that's incredible. And then going into Sunday, and that was with Joey Logano, it ended very interesting. And it was interesting just generally just to see how the next gen car handles on different tracks and unique tracks like Darlington.
Yes.
Although at this point in the season, I think it's safe to say that most drivers have honed the car in some senses by now. But the lady in black is never easy to hone. It's not a place that is honable, as you can tell of what happened today. And I actually heard that word a couple times too used. So we'll do that as our WOM's word of the week. Hone or honeable, one of the two. But so, it started all out looking like it was a Larson and Logano show battling at stage 1.
Yeah, it did. The track raced very. It was good, actually. It raced better than I was interested to see how it was going to race. It had a little old school feel to it. Some of the guys you were seeing, especially as the tires were worn off, even through the first stage, when you had
hitting
Joey
the stripes on the wall too.
Yeah, getting the stripe and running that outside line. We saw downshift, shifting, which is definitely new for Darlington. We saw it previously at Martinsville this year, which makes me wonder, are we going to see it at Pocono like we used to? But I don't know. Anyways,
which we'll see when they get to Pocono.
The cars reacted very differently. It was very interesting to watch them run so low. So if I think back to when I first started watching NASCAR and how they used to run there's that white line for that upper bank, right? It was up, like you had the bigger bank, and then it kind of came down onto another bank and down.
Yep.
And you ran above the hash marks, and it was like a car and a half, and the quickest was against the wall. And you never went below the white line. It was just, there was no grip and it was slow. So to see the cars running down there today was very interesting, and seeing them experiment so quickly in the first stage was interesting.
Maybe starting to see guys go for those stage points a little bit more. They're always going for stage points. It's always rough, but that's going to start mattering now.
Well, and
this
actually
point in the season,
this race, the race last week, I was kind of thinking about that as well, and noticing that if you watch drivers that have won races this year, so that means they're locked into the championship technically, but they got to stay within the top 30 of points,
something like that. Yeah.
You start seeing them. I see those guys push harder for stage wins. They're pushing through 1 and 2. They're sacrificing different. They're changing up their pit strategies to get stage points in the second stage. You're seeing an emphasis on stage points, I think, more than ever before.
Well, so the comp caution being thrown into things.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think guys will burn out? They know that at lap 30 or whatever that they choose, they know that they can make those kind of low, make those kind of risky moves. And not only that, they get a little bit of an idea what they can go for at the end of the stage. There's got to be a little bit of an aspect where the comp caution plays an effect.
I think those comp cautions.
You got to get rid of them, in my opinion.
I think so. It's just like, it's almost like giving a fast repair in iRacing, right? You can kind of go out and do
which
whatever
sometimes
you want,
nice, not gonna lie.
which is sometimes nice,
Yeah.
and I get why they did it. They had rain, the track changed.
Right, exactly.
I get it.
So
what it is. It was a long race, and the race definitely played out. I mean, just not getting super deep into it, but if you look back here and you look at, I'm counting like quickly: Kyle Larson 30 laps, Kyle Busch 19, Ross Chastain 26, Martin Truex 28, Landon.
And where were they
Hamlin,
at the end?
42, William Byron 24. Where were they at the end? So it doesn't even matter about that comp caution. It did nothing to the race. So
and with 35 to go in that first stage, the 5 and the 18, they were battling hard. 5 watched up, but just a little wee bit and got loose into the 18. Spun but saved it, but it ultimately ended up, looked like it did something to him. He ended up having to eventually bring it down to pit road. But stage one winner of that, Joey Logano, was maybe a little bit of a preview of what we were going to see ahead of us. Maybe a little preview here. Yeah. Chastain also noticed he was slowly climbing through the field up to P2 in stage 2. MTJ and KFB staying up in the top 5. The Toyotas, Toyota teammates, Hamlin, Bell, Bubba, all those guys, all the Toyota guys up there in the top 10, showing the Chevs and Ford that they got a little bit to contend with. So, Young Money, though, as I said, he was down pit road, hood up, with at lap 24 in stage 2, and then eventually, just a few laps later, he ended up having to pull her behind the wall. With 15 to go in stage 2, the 6 of Brad Keselowski touched the wall coming out of turn 2, drifted back up into Kaibu, just enough where it hit the left front wheel and just knocked the toe out. Kaibu tried to make it down the pit road, and it tried to get into the garage. It could not, quote unquote, could not make the turn into the garage. Possibly could be true, but he abandoned his car on pit road due to this. It's also speculated it was a reference to a mishap from the last time he was at Darlington, where he was fined $50,000 for unsafely entering the garage and clipped some orange cones and nearly some spectators. And that was risky. He was fined $50,000 for that was big. That was big on him. Maybe that was a little bit of his like, screw you guys, I'm going home moment. Stage 2 winner though, Ross Chastain, but Chas's luck ran out real fast.
Yeah, that bump hit him, and you would have thought he learned the first time when he hit that, and it kicked him so sideways, where Kyle Busch could have totally cleaned him right out there back in, I think that was earlier in stage 2, but the track bit him hard. I wish he could. I probably could have won the race. I mean, that team is just. I don't know they're so quick, and you're even seeing it with their relationship with Richard Childress Racing and Tyler Reddick and Austin Dillon even came up into the top 10, finished 9th. So, that
was one yellow. Then Bowman. Brought out a yellow for mechanical with 45 to go. And on the restart with 38 to go, MTJ loses it on the restart at a 2. Takes out his Toyota teammates Kurt Busch and Bubba Wallace. Kurt with a huge lick on the inside safer barrier. Thank God for those safer barrier walls.
You know what? I'm a big Kevin Harvick fan, and that all happened because Kevin Harvick went 3 wide into
He was making some moves.
1 and 2. He was making moves, and I get it. But if that was somebody else, if that was if that was Ross
Justin Haley,
Chastain that made that move, if that was Justin Haley that made that move, and it wrecked
even Willie
Kevin,
B.
Kevin would have been
Yeah.
like, these guys, they don't know how to drive. These young guys, they got no
Right.
respect for us. Blah 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 blah
Well,
blah. And he dove it in there like I'm sorry, an asshole. And he made Truex check up, which is death. And that just completely unsettles the car, and we saw it. And then there was a big, huge accident. You saw Bubba Wallace hit the wall insanely hard, and you saw Kurt. If you watch Kurt on the
that
in-car,
was bad.
almost close his eyes.
Screw his, he's
Like,
not
screwed
close
his
hands
eyes.
up too.
He sees him, lifts his hand, closes his eyes, and he hits the wall.
But it was an interesting top 5 in those remaining laps. Like Harvick, he was back up in the convo for a change. And Reddick also up there again. These guys needing these. They need these as many points or a win as they can. Justin Haley too, making a good showing.
P3, I mean, that's really good. Tyler Reddick
coming back up there finally.
Willie
B didn't lose too much on that bump and run from Joey. Joey was slowly gaining. It was more than that, but Joey was slowly gaining time, and just before the white flag, Joey gave him the old hey.
And I have
buddy.
Nothing wrong with that. I have nothing wrong with a bump and run, but they didn't even battle for the position. I figured Joey was going to win the race. Actually, I was really hoping Reddick was going to win the race. I kind of figured that Joey and Willie B were going to tangle in out of 2 or probably into 3, and Tyler was going to drive right by him. But they didn't even battle. They hadn't even taken the white flag yet, and I feel that Joey just ran into he didn't bump and run. He dumped and ran. And
but
I don't know.
Did you pick Joey? So we'll have we'll just quickly touch on our Wide World of Motorsports NASCAR Fantasy League where you came out top that week. We'll have the post on our social media and our website for our followers there. But you came out with top. You and Dirty Joe this week came out good, and Ty as our top 3. Yours truly, Seth, Pepe at the bottom there, but. You're holding up on the league overall, so props to you. We'll have the posts up on there, and then next week going into Kansas, we'll also post our predictions up there too. Yeah, on the social media. But we got to get into the Pinty Series before we end up looking into wrapping up a show. Big news from the NASCAR Pinty Series. Action Larry Jackson, first off, is racing full-time with O'Neill Electric Supply in the NASCAR Pinty Series. They're happy to bring him on board. He's also got a couple good sponsors to partner up with him along the season, just like eBay Motors. Also, Paye Racing with Andrew Ranger and Marc-Antoine Cameron coming into NASCAR Pinty Series as a new team. They will also like they're going to have other involvement in various series, but primarily the Pinty Series with Andrew Ranger going back to the 27 and Marc-Antoine Cameron going to nice X, even a Chevy. Yeah.
And jumping from Dodge
some bow tie, some bow tie action. Yeah.
You know what? I'm glad that somebody's like I'm glad that Chevy or somebody's putting money behind.
And that's big because going into the season, Ranger is good at Sunset for the season opener, which hopefully we'll be seeing y'all down there this Saturday. But yeah, Andrew Ranger, I think I'm going to pick Andrew Ranger for that as a guy. We've seen him in the last few seasons. He's been good at Sunset. Pinty's has only been there for a few years. They were there in 2015, 16, and then in 2020, 2021 with twin races, dual races. But now they're going to just a 250 lapper. Is that correct? How many laps is this one?
Yeah, 250 laps, which you and I were chatting about the race this weekend coming up. I said I think that makes a big difference. Looking at last year's stats, race 1, you had 8 cautions for 67 laps. I mean, the race is only 125 laps, so that's over half of the laps of that race is run under caution.
Right.
In race 2, we had 41 laps of caution, again, for a 125 lap race. So you put that together and you've run 108 laps of caution. Well, you still have 142 laps of green flag running to do. So I think that will definitely make a big difference. We're gonna see track develop throughout the night. Racing is going to start, I think, around 5 o'clock. So you're going to see probably qualify. And
the other series.
Really, the track actually going to start at about noon. So you're going to see practice from all the series that are going to be there, because not only is NASCAR Pinty's, but Sunset is having invitational for open invitational for super stocks and mini stock. It's there, and then you'll have Pinty's racing going on and practice and qualifying. So you're going to see the track also change out throughout the night. So that will be a big factor to it as well.
Yeah, and with the, let's pull up the entry here, the entry list.
Mm-hmm. Big entry list for race 1, which is awesome, which is fantastic. 20 cars, like that's 2 more than last year. Understandably, last year, the fact that we had 18 cars last year was amazing for what we had gone through. But I'm just saying, 20 cars for the first race of the season, I can't wait.
Yeah, just so going through this here, just a couple names starting off from the bottom of the list here. Sam Fellows coming in, driving the number 98 Chevrolet. Marc-Antoine Cameron, he'll be obviously with his new team there in the 96. Dexter Stacey in the number 92. Dexter Texture coming in there with Boley's Truck Stop and the Chevy. And Larry Jacks, by the way, I think that was the number 92. That was the purple livery that I'm really looking forward to seeing. Take a picture of that one, by the way. So, and then Action Larry Jackson also coming in the number 84 with a Dodge, and then Donald Teague in the number 80 Chevrolet,
who just ran 8th in the ARCA series down in Nashville this past weekend. We have number 74 Kevin Lacroix running the Dodge, bumper to bumper. The number 71, Brian Cathcart from Peterborough. OK Tower Peterborough, driving a Dodge. Number 66, Wallace Stacy. How about that? I'll have to go talk to him.
Wallace, and have a Wallace and Wallace interview.
Yeah, and you know what? Maybe if they're running all year. I don't know. I feel bad that I don't know that. But if they're running all year, maybe at every race we'll have a Wallace and Wallace. A little segment, and we'll ask him how the track's going. Anyways, in the 64, my car, my number, I always run that. Mark Dilley driving a Chevy. And number 47, LP.
The champ, the rating champ.
The champ, Mr. 3-time.
Our guy, LP.
WeatherTech Dodge. He's definitely, is he the favorite for the year?
I don't know. I'll always go with, we'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
Because Andrew Ranger is next on this list here, number 27.
I'm excited
with the new team again, the Chevy. Trey, you said earlier before we rolled the tapes, he had, what was it, 4 or 6 poles in a row, 4 pole positions in a row. And obviously he got a couple wins under his belt. Various series.
Three of those races he led the most laps. So
right
at tracks he knew, but I'm
our buddy Trey, always got to throw him in there with the racing for 22 Racing, and his teammate Tags, who has a win at Sunset. He has a couple wins at Sunset, back to back, 2015, 2016, and he has also performed well there. So he's another factor, at least for this race. And we saw how it was for him last season too, when it came down to just a couple races to go for him. Unfortunately, that went down south at Delaware for him. But yeah, there's a lot of good names already there. DJ Kennington, you saw him have a good season last season in his 17 Dodge. He's returning this time around again. And then Brandon Watson. So we're also seeing some short track guys come in too from the late model, some late model experience coming up in here. Brandon Watson driving the number 9 Chevy.
Yeah, and then number 8 we have Rafael Assad, who won both races last year at Sunset, both 125s. So expect him to be strong, of course, out of the gate at this track. And then in the number 3, you have Brett Taylor for Ed Hackinson Racing, driving the Chevrolet. And the number 2, TJ Rinamato.
From the 6.
From Toronto, driving the Chevrolet.
All right.
What? You like that?
Yeah, I'm a Toronto sports fan. Gotta cheer for guys from Toronto.
True.
That's one of the closer teams for me.
Jean-Philippe Bergeron driving the only Ford in the field. And I believe it's a Mustang, if pictures I saw online were correct.
He's part-time ARCA guy, eh?
Is he? Good for him.
David Gill in racing. Yeah, so it'd be cool to see him come up.
And in the number 0, Glenn Stiers.
You can ask him when we see him.
I'm sorry, Glenn. I don't mean to.
Canadian Motorsports Hall of Fame sprint car racer and Oswego Speedway owner, who was just inducted into it.
Fantastic. Oh, I feel bad that I don't know how to pronounce your last name, Glenn.
Do we edit that out? But yeah, and also when we said Brian Cathcart earlier,
we're real.
Brian Cathcart, also with the Cathcart, the freight company. So he's going to be coming to race for Brave Motorsports and running full time this year. He last raced in 2016, so he's going to be coming back. Interesting to see him. Little different, I'm sure, for him coming back all these years later. Fun to catch up with him and find that out from him.
Well, and I'm excited that Sam Fellows will be there. Son of legend.
Seeing him
Canadian
spread his wings and some oval stuff. It's going to be all there at Sunset.
I'm excited.
So when you say there's a favorite, at least for the season, I think it'll be too early to call. We'll see real quick. Obviously, always easy to say our guy Trey and DJ, and LP too. For the race winner, we'll just predict that before we wrap it up here. Race winner for this weekend. I think it's become down to Ranger and LP.
Yeah, I think those are really good picks, and for the season, I think it's going to be interesting.
And the Ranger wants something to prove with his new team. So. He's coming off a good season.
For the race, I think young Trayton Lapsevich comes out to prove a point that he's running for a championship in his second year. So I think Trayton wins this race.
And he might as well start off with a bang. That's absolutely true. And we all hopefully we're gonna end up seeing and meeting up with some of our listeners and some of these drivers as well at Sunset Speedway this Saturday, May the 14th. Make sure if you're in the area, why not head on down and watch some good old racing with your fams and friends and have a good time.
Right. Yeah, I'm excited.
And we'll be
Saturday,
hopefully, we'll be there and
really hope.
See some. It's a bit of a jaunt for me, but for you, it's a little close.
Yeah.
So,
40 minutes away.
And we'll have it as much as hopefully there's some good reception and or Wi-Fi of some sort there at the track, so we can. Either way, we'll have some sort of updates, preferably live updates. But either way, we'll have some updates on our social media pages, on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, at the WWMS.
We'll have lots of content.
We'll have lots of content. What about your favorite website, Wallace?
www.thewideworldofmotorsports.wordpress.
No, the Wide World of Motorsports podcast.wordpress.com.
Damn it. See? That's how...
And you know how people can change this. If you want, you can sponsor us. Throw us. You don't. Not that we accept donations. Not that I've ever say that. But hey, yeah, you want to sponsor with us, or if you want to help us out, send us an email at wideworldofmotorsports motorsports@gmail.com. Reach out to us. Maybe we'll make something happen. That'd be real cool. We'll make a deal. We'll make a deal on the side. You know what I'm saying? Make a little bit of a
I'm going to go
business deal.
Get the papers.
That you says I was all right, Spider.
That you says I was all right.
But yeah, so you check us out on brand new on a couple of different mediums here on CFMH 107.3 local FM in St. John. Check it out, localfm.ca, and then Performance Motorsports Network on there as well. On
thanks, guys.
performancemotorsportsnetwork.com. Thank you guys for picking us up, and also
Yeah,
CKMS
thanks for
102.7
believing in us.
Radio Waterloo for keeping us on as well.
Yes.
For us starting off the season with all this is fantastic, and it's great, and it means a lot. So happy to be on board and to be able to help these mediums grow in different ways and take them to different places, and hopefully us, we can grow as well. It's always we're here to we're a couple motorsports fans. We're not too picky, actually, even though sometimes it sounds like we are. Before we roll the tapes, we're just like ripping. Sometimes we're just ripping stuff.
Sometimes.
But when we get to it, though, it's something we just love doing. So our goal is to try to obviously reach the fans and to be able to reach them in different ways. And that's always been it's been our kind of our thing. We want to provide that fan experience. Hopefully, we're going to be able to do that this weekend and be able to give you a little bit of some sights, sounds, and some vibes from the racetrack.
Yeah, for sure. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to meeting some new people at the track, getting some good stories. We're definitely different than
some good photos.
Than other people, and how we like to cover the race. We're
old school, I think.
We're a little, we like to bring the experience of the track to what we see and learn, and we don't know everything. We learn along the way, and it's great. I'm excited for the Pinty season. It's going to be, I think, one of the best it's been in a long time, and have photos and videos, and
we're gonna have a jam-packed couple of next episodes, so for sure we're gonna be able to fill up the next one full of the Pinty's content. Of course, obviously next couple of weeks with lots of different racing all across the Wide World of Motorsports coming up. So we're always here. We're not going anywhere on CKMS 102.7 Radio Waterloo, CAFMH 107.3 Local FM, and Performance Motorsports Network, as well as on your favorite and most popular streaming platforms. Wallace, we gotta wrap this up. That's it. We'll see you all around, folks. We'll see you around the bend.
At the track.